President Biden will now let Ukraine use long-range missiles supplied by the U.S. to hit inside Russia. Until now, the president had resisted this position, concerned it could escalate Russia's war in Ukraine into something even larger.
That is how we started 4 days ago. That is just one. Here's another.
According to multiple media reports, U.S. President Joe Biden has authorized Ukraine to use U.S.-supplied long-range missiles for strikes deep inside Russia. This major policy shift comes after months of requests by Ukraine and just 2 months before President-elect Donald Trump takes office. Trump has criticized Biden's strong support for Ukraine.
Yeah, I wonder why it's being criticized. You know, it doesn't take a rocket scientist to understand that you don't want to go into direct conflict with a nuclear power. Now, I will say a lot of these newscasters are repeating over and over again, hey, we have let them shoot into Russia. You know, could you imagine that was like Russia arming Mexico to shoot inside American territory? This makes absolutely no sense. But wait, there's more, because this is not the only one. There were many that were reporting this 4 days ago.
So President Biden reversing course and lifting restrictions on Ukraine's use of U.S.-provided weapons deep inside Russian territory. For the first time, Biden is giving Ukrainian forces the green light to actually strike Russia with long-range American missiles. That move coming after months of lobbying by Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky, and with major changes on the horizon once President-elect Trump takes office.
The thing that should blow everyone's mind is the following clip, because 4 days ago they had a different energy. 4 days ago they talked about how the American president has allowed blah blah blah. You know, you heard it. They did so many segments. This is the real one. This is the one that really blows my mind. Look how they changed their energy. It makes no sense. Check it out.
So 4 days after President Biden allowed Ukraine to strike parts of Russia with U.S.-built and proffered missiles, Putin is threatening to retaliate with strikes against U.S. facilities and says his military hit Ukraine today with a medium-range hypersonic ballistic missile. The Pentagon just responded moments ago. Watch this.
We are not going to listen to what the Pentagon representative has to say just yet. Let's break this down. This lady says that 4 days ago, the President of the United States allows Ukraine to use missiles to attack Russia that were built in the United States. And now she's saying that Russia is threatening to attack the United States for allowing another country to use its weapons to bomb its people or its country. That would be like if another country gives weapons to Mexico or Canada, it uses them against the United States, and the United States does nothing. But we know that hell would fall from the skies if another country did that. But now we're saying that Russia is threatening the United States. I really am so curious to see what the Pentagon has to say about this. Let's go.
We've seen this type of, dangerous, reckless rhetoric before from President Putin. What we're focused on is continuing to support Ukraine with what it needs.
Hello and welcome to this video. My name is Daniel. I'm actually an American Marine veteran who's been living in Russia for almost 3 years now. What I want you to know is that this video is non-political. This is actually real life. I'm from the United States. I decided to move to Russia not too long ago, this year actually. I got married. My life is different now. But this video is just to give my perspective of what I believe is going on and breaking down this circus, which is American politics. I've only decided to move to Russia this year, but I've been living in Russia for about 3 years, right? At the beginning, it was just for tourism, but this year I decided, hey, you know what? I'm going to try to build a house here. This is what I've learned from the Russia and the Russian people and its leader. When the Russian people commit to something, they will do it. When the Russian leader says he will do something, they usually do it. So it comes to no surprise to me that it's going to defend itself. Russia will defend itself. Now, that might hurt the feelings of my leaders in the United States. That might hurt the feelings of some countries that are involved with NATO, but it just doesn't make any sense to me why it would hurt their feelings. This is what President Putin had to say after the agreement between the United States and Ukraine passed that they could, in fact, attack Russia. This is what Vladimir Putin had to say.
В ответ на применение американского и британского дальнобойного оружия 21 ноября текущего года российские вооруженные силы нанесли комбинированный удар по одному из объектов оборонно-промышленного комплекса Украины. В боевых условиях было проведено в том числе и испытание одной из новейших российских ракетных систем средней дальности. В данном случае с баллистической ракетой в безъядерном гиперзвуковом оснащении.
Essentially, he's letting us know that, hey, by the way, because you did that, we've attacked Ukraine much stronger. We've been doing some stronger attacks, but we've been using new weapons that have not been used before, and we're testing stronger weapons. Now, you can see how the ladder is just climbing, 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 climbing. The escalation actually starts on one side. This is very clear. It starts on the United States side. I am not taking Russia's side on this. I'm just letting you guys know. We saw it. 4 days ago, something happened. Then the Russians countered with something else. But we saw where it started first. What's crazy to me is that on the American side, not everybody supports this. You know, there's so many politicians that have openly spoken out. They've spoken out against the Ukrainian presidency. They've spoken out against the basically what's the entire conflict. The following clip is what a lot of politicians in the United States feel, but it's also what a lot of Americans feel and know to be a fact. Check it out.
Here's something you are not going to hear on the mainstream media. What you do hear is warmongers arguing that we must protect Ukraine because it is a quote-unquote democracy. But they're lying. Ukraine isn't actually a democracy. For example, to hold on to power, Ukraine's president shut down the 3 TV stations that were openly criticizing him and his policies, imprisoned the head of the opposition political party that had come in second place in their elections, and went and arrested and jailed that party's leaders. This is exactly what Putin has been accused of doing. But Ukraine did this all with the support of the United States.
Isn't it amazing? It's so beautiful and amazing when politicians in the United States actually call out the hypocrisy inside of our own government. You're not going to get to see that a lot, but when it happens, it is absolutely fantastic because everyone knows that we've blamed Russia for so many things. Russia is responsible for so many things. It is a dictatorship. It is the worst place on earth. But here we are defending a country who's basically actually living up to so many things that we say are wrong in the world. Why are we defending one country to fight another country that we have nothing to do with both? And it might actually end up ruining the entire world. Why are we doing it? You know, it's so funny when you end up seeing the politicians who want to send America into conflict, direct conflict with Russia, get burned on the world stage. You know, Vivek called out another random politician who wants the war to continue, calls her out and says, hey, name me 3 regions in eastern Ukraine. So it went something like this. Here's the clip.
I want everybody at home to note that I was the first person to say we need a reasonable peace deal in Ukraine. Now a lot of the neocons are quietly coming along to that position, with the exceptions of Nikki Haley and Joe Biden, who still support this, what I believe is pointless war in Ukraine. And I think those with foreign policy experience, one thing that Joe Biden and Nikki Haley have in common is that neither of them could even state for you 3 provinces in eastern Ukraine that they want to send our troops to actually fight for. Look at that. This is what I want people to understand. These people have, I mean, she has no idea what the hell the names of those provinces are, but she wants to send our sons and daughters and our troops and our military equipment to go fight it. So reject this myth that they've been selling you, that somebody had a cup of coffee stint at the UN and then makes $8 million after, has real foreign policy experience. It takes an outsider to see this through. Look at the blank expression. She doesn't know the names of the provinces that she wants to actually fight.
And you can really tell how dumbfounded she is that she's actually getting called out, right? It's hilarious. It's so pathetic. Here's a woman who's ready to send millions of men to die, men and women to die, but she has no idea why. She has no idea where this country is. She has no idea what Ukraine is. But here she is defending this warmongering government. And that clip was from 11 months ago, guys. 11 months ago. You can see how much this has escalated. Thankfully, that woman won nothing. Her party lost the presidency. Now we're going to have President Donald Trump become president. Hopefully, like one of the news anchors said, he does have a negative view on what's going on in the Ukraine, in the conflict. And hopefully he brings perhaps some normality to this. I'm not going to hold my breath because it just seems like the United States is going to continue to escalate this for no reason. It is heartbreaking that we have people that are so anti-Russian but don't have it in their hearts or their minds to understand that this is beyond the normal people, right? This is world governments at work here. This is essentially a proxy war that we're seeing happening that could escalate into nuclear war. And the reason why I'm making this video is because I'm kind of stuck in the middle, right? I guess I could leave Russia, but I don't want to leave my family behind here. I'm married. I have a father-in-law who's going to be living alone if I leave with my wife, and this is not something I want to do. I'm giving you this video as a perspective of someone who has been living here for 3 years. I'm giving you the perspective from someone who has served in the United States military, who understands that this is going on way too long. This has to stop now. I'm really interested in hearing your opinion. Where do you stand in all of this? Again, remember, this is not world politics anymore. This is real life, guys. Everybody's life is affected if 2 nuclear powers go to war. So before you say, oh, I don't want to give my opinion, this is just politics, it's not politics. When something directly affects your life in such a scale, it's actually reality at that point. Okay? I want to know what you guys have in mind. Please leave me your opinions down below. You know that this comment section is literally a forum for us. What's fascinating also is that the president-elect said, hey, if I was president, this would have never happened. Who knows if it's true, but if you have a guy saying this should have never happened, this should have never happened, he said it so many times.
Going up much higher, and we have a war that would have never happened if I was president. That war would have never happened.
If I were your president, would never have happened. Nor would Russia attacking Ukraine have happened. All of those lives would be saved. All of those beautiful cities would be standing. The president of Ukraine is in our country, and he's making little nasty aspersions toward your favorite president, me. But take a look at the war happening right now in Ukraine. It would have never happened if I were president, to start off with.
And if you've heard him say it so many times, then how did we get to this point? I hope it doesn't escalate further. I hope that these next months I hope they fly by, because I can't sit here and wait for the president, which is in the United States right now, to continue to poke that bear. You're going to push too far, guys. Like, they need to realize in our government that not the whole world is ready or willing to bow down to whatever we want. We have to accept that there is other cultures, that there is other ways of leading a country, that there is other people that exist in other countries that want nothing to do with the United States, that want nothing to do with how the world is governed. People want to be independent. People want to be able to choose. I'm a proud American, even though if it bothers some people. My mother and my family live in the United States. I served in the military. I don't agree with what the government is doing. I am not a traitor to my country. I don't bite the hand that feeds me. But look at how I view things. I do understand that it is my country instigating a possible nuclear war. Let's all pray and hope that it doesn't go further than it already has. I'll see you guys on the next one. Thank you so much for listening to me. Remember to leave your comments down below.